Sir, are you okay? The words left Keisha's mouth before she even knew what she was doing. The man on the bench didn't answer. His lips trembled, one hand pressed against his chest. Union Station, no one stopped. Not one person even looked his way. "Please," he whispered, his voice thin as paper. "I can't breathe." Kesha dropped her folder, her only copy of her resume, and crouched beside him. Hey, stay with me. I'm calling for help." She pulled out her cracked phone, dialing 911 with shaking hands. The dispatcher's voice came through. 911. "What's your emergency?" "There's a man here. He's older. Chest pains, Union Station Platform 3. Behind her, the train doors beeped. Her train. The last one that could get her to her job interview on time, her one chance at a steady salary, insurance, and a way out. The voice on the speaker called out, "Final boarding for Downtown Express." Kesha looked up. She could still make it if she ran. But then the old man's eyes found hers, scared, pleading, the kind of look that made everything else fade away. "Don't go," he gasped. Kesha stayed. By the time the ambulance arrived, her clothes were soaked through. The rain had turned heavy, the city gray. She rode with the paramedics as they rushed the man to the hospital. He kept mumbling something about a meeting, about papers and a deal, but all Kesha cared about was keeping him alive. She held his hand the whole way, whispering, "You're going to be fine, okay? Just breathe. I've got you." At the hospital, the nurses took him straight into the emergency room. Kesha stood there, dripping rainwater onto the tile floor, realizing what she'd just done. She'd missed the interview. All the weeks of preparing, the careful printing of that resume, the last $15 she'd spent on a train ticket, gone. She sat in the waiting area, silent, staring at her hands. They were still trembling. When the doctor finally came out, Kesha braced herself for the worst. "He's stable," the doctor said. "You helped save his life." Relief flooded her chest, but so did something else. Uncertainty. She didn't even know his name. "Can I see him?" she asked quietly. The doctor nodded. "He's been asking for you." Inside the room, the man looked smaller, frailer. But when he saw her, he smiled. "There's my guardian angel," he said, his voice stronger now. "You stayed." "Of course," Kesha replied. "I couldn't just leave you there." He studied her for a long moment. "Most people did." She shrugged, embarrassed. "That's not who I am." "What's your name?" he asked. "Kesha Williams." "I'm Harold." His hand trembled slightly as he reached out to shake hers. "You don't know how much this means." Kesha tried to smile, but the truth sat heavy in her chest. I missed a job interview because of all this." Harold frowned. "I'm sorry to hear that. What kind of job?" "A receptionist position, PT Industries. Would have been my first real chance to get ahead. But it's fine." He tilted his head. "PT Industries, you said?" "Yeah, big company downtown. I doubt they'll call back." Something flickered in Harold's eyes. Recognition, maybe even guilt. But before he could respond, the door opened and a sharply dressed man walked in. "Dad!" the newcomer said, rushing to Harold's bedside. "You scared us half to death." Kesha blinked. "Dad?" The man turned to her. "You're the woman who helped him?" "I guess so," Kesha said softly. He extended a hand. "I'm David Peaton." Her breath caught. "Peaton? As in Peaton Technologies?" David nodded. "My father founded it." Kesha froze. Her mind reeled. The building she walked past every day, the one she'd dreamed of working in someday, that Peaton Technologies. She looked at Harold again, suddenly seeing him in a new light. The expensive watch, the fine suit, the confidence in his tone. He wasn't just some stranger at the station. He was that man. "You said PT Industries?" Harold asked, his voice calm but curious. "Yes," Kesha managed. "That's where I was supposed to be interviewing today." Harold leaned back against his pillows, a faint smile forming. "PT Industries is one of our subsidiaries." Kesha's mouth went dry. "Wait, you mean—" "I mean," Harold interrupted gently, "you were on your way to interview at one of my companies when you decided to save my life instead." Silence filled the room. The sound of the heart monitor was the only thing between them. "I had no idea," Kesha whispered. "Of course you didn't," Harold said. "That's what makes what you did so rare." David looked at her with genuine admiration. "Miss Williams, people like you remind us what matters. Thank you for helping my father." Kesha shook her head. "I didn't do it for thanks." "I know," Harold said softly. "That's exactly why it matters." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a card. Thick, white, embossed with gold lettering. "Take this," he said, "in case you ever need anything." Kesha hesitated, then accepted it. The card read, "Harold Peaton, Chairman Emeritus, Peaton Technologies." Her heart pounded. She didn't know it yet, but that simple card would change her life. Later that night, back in her small apartment, Kesha stared at the card again. The rain still tapped against the window. Her brother Jamal looked up from his laptop. "So," he said, "how'd the interview go?" Kesha didn't know what to say. "It didn't," she admitted. "I missed it." Jamal frowned. "Oh no, what happened?" She told him everything. The old man, the station, the hospital. When she finished, Jamal just nodded. "You did the right thing." "Yeah," she whispered, though she wasn't sure if she believed it. "I hope so." Her phone buzzed just then, an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her swipe the screen. Text message. "Kesha, this is Harold. Thank you again. I'd like to see you tomorrow if you're free. Same address you were headed to for your interview. HP." She stared at the message for a long time, heart racing. "Who's that?" Jamal asked. Kesha looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. "The man I helped. He wants to meet tomorrow." Jamal raised his eyebrows. "What for?" Kesha turned the business card over in her hand, the gold lettering catching the dim light. "I don't know," she said slowly, "but something tells me my life's about to change. So tell me, what do you think Harold wants from Kesha? Gratitude, business, or something far more life-changing? Let me know your thoughts below." The next morning, Kesha stood outside the tall glass tower downtown, clutching the same folder she'd carried yesterday, now wrinkled, water-stained, and useless. She took a deep breath. "What am I even doing here?" The security guard smiled politely. "Appointment?" I think so," she said, showing the business card. "Mr. Harold Peaton told me to come." The guard's eyebrows lifted slightly. "The Mr. Peaton? All right, ma'am. Please go right up." The elevator doors closed behind her, sealing her inside a rising silence that felt unreal. Her reflection stared back from the silver walls. Tired eyes, thrift store clothes, hope she didn't want to admit to. When the doors opened, a woman in a navy suit was waiting. "Miss Williams, right this way." Kesha followed her through a hallway lined with framed photographs, company awards, charity events, smiling executives. And then she froze. On the far wall hung a large portrait. Harold Peaton, the man she'd saved, standing tall in a tailored suit, confident and powerful. Her heart thudded. "What am I walking into?" The woman stopped at an open door. "He's expecting you." Harold looked completely different from the man she'd found at the train station. His suit was immaculate, his posture straight, his eyes bright with life. When he saw her, a smile softened his face. "There's my guardian angel." Kesha hesitated. "Mr. Peaton, I didn't expect this." "Neither did I," he said warmly. "But life has a funny way of showing us who really matters." She smiled awkwardly. "I'm just glad you're okay." Harold motioned for her to sit. "You know, yesterday reminded me of something I'd forgotten. What it feels like to be human, not just successful. You stayed when everyone else walked away. That means more to me than you realize." Kesha lowered her eyes. "I didn't do it for anything. I just couldn't leave you there." "That's exactly why it matters," Harold said quietly. "People like you are rare." He picked up a folder from his desk and opened it. "I read about your situation. 2 jobs, caring for your brother, trying to build a better life. You've been carrying the weight of the world alone." Her throat tightened. "I just do what I have to do." Harold nodded slowly. Yesterday, you missed your interview because you chose compassion. So I've decided to offer you a new one. Right now. She blinked. A new interview? He smiled. For a different position. One I created this morning. Kesha frowned. I don't understand. Harold leaned forward. I need someone I can trust. Someone honest, empathetic, grounded in real life. Someone who remembers where they came from even when they rise. I want you to be my personal executive assistant. Kesha stared at him, unsure if she'd heard correctly. Sir, I don't have experience for something like that. Experience can be taught, Harold replied. Integrity can't. You already have what most people in this building don't, a heart. He slid a paper across the desk. Here's the offer, $85,000 a year, full benefits, paid training. You'll learn everything you need to know directly from me. Her hands shook as she read the number, $85,000. It felt impossible, like a dream she wasn't supposed to have. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Harold said gently. And one more thing. You mentioned your brother is in school? Yes, sir, Jamal. He's studying chemistry. Harold smiled. Then I'd like to personally fund his education, full scholarship, any university he chooses. Kesha froze. What? No, I can't let you do that. Yes, you can, he said firmly. You gave me my life back. It's only right I help you build yours. Tears welled in her eyes. You don't even know me. Harold leaned back. You're wrong, Miss Williams. I know exactly who you are. You're the woman who stopped her own world to save someone else's. Weeks passed, and Kesha's life transformed. She traded bus rides and late-night cleaning shifts for morning meetings and mentorship sessions with Harold himself. He taught her about leadership, finance, and compassion in business. But she taught him something greater, humility. Her influence spread quickly. She proposed an idea, a kindness-first initiative, to help employees volunteer, support struggling families, and offer scholarships to underprivileged students. Within months, it became company policy. Other firms took notice. The story of the woman who missed her train turned into a symbol of hope across the city. One day, during a board meeting, Harold smiled proudly at her from across the room. Kesha, he said, you've done more to change this company in 6 months than I did in 6 decades. She laughed softly. You gave me the chance, sir? No, Harold replied. You gave me a second chance to be the kind of man I always wanted to be. Time moved on. Jamal was accepted into Northwestern University with full support from the Piton Foundation. He visited often, proud of his sister. Kesha found peace in her work, not because of the money, but because she saw lives change. Students graduated, families found jobs, people smiled again. One evening, Harold invited her to his office. The city lights glowed outside. You know, he said, I still think about that day at the station. If you hadn't stopped, I might not be here. Kesha smiled. And if you hadn't given me this chance, I might still be cleaning office floors. He chuckled. Maybe that's what kindness is. 2 lives meeting at the right moment. Kesha looked out at the skyline. Funny thing, though. Everyone talks about what you did for me, but I think it was never about rewards. It was just about doing what's right. Harold nodded. Exactly. Because in the end, kindness doesn't need an audience. It just needs courage. 2 years later, Kesha returned to Union Station, the same platform where everything changed. The city was alive, trains rumbling, people rushing by. She was now Director of Community Relations at Piton Technologies. Her team had just launched a new youth mentorship program, and she was heading to speak at a local school. As she waited, she noticed an elderly man sitting alone, head bowed, holding a small envelope. Something in her heart tugged. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked gently. He looked up, his eyes wet. "My granddaughter's graduating today, first in our family to finish college, but I can't find where the ceremony is." Kesha smiled softly. "Let me help you." He handed her the envelope. The name on it made her freeze. Maria Santos, recipient of the Piton Scholarship. Kesha's eyes glistened. "You don't have to worry, sir. I know exactly where it is. She hailed a cab and rode with him to the ceremony, staying to watch his granddaughter cross the stage. As he cried tears of pride, he whispered, "Thank you." Kesha smiled. "No, sir, thank you." That night, Kesha sat by her window, city lights shimmering beyond the glass. She thought about her journey, from missing a train to changing lives. Sometimes the world tells you to hurry, to chase, to compete, but that day at Union Station taught her something timeless. When you slow down to help someone else, you never really miss your train. You just board a different one meant for your destiny. Life lesson. Real success isn't measured by how high you climb. It's measured by how many people you lift as you rise. Now I want to hear from you. If stopping to help a stranger could change your life, would you stop or keep walking? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us what real strength looks like in a struggling world.